Welcome everybody to a new episode of podcast The Way Out of Childhood Trauma, and I am Barb Smith Varclova, and today is with me the great guest Virginia Fox, which is empowerment and success coach from Switzerland, but also it's very well known best-selling author of over 40 books. So welcome, Virginia.
Hello, Barb. Nice to be here. Thank you.
So Virginia, tell me how, I know about you that you're working with horses, you're writing the books, and you're a coach. How is this all going together, or where it's all started?
It started with the horses when I saw the first time a horse, if you believe what my mother says. And I've always been very interested in personal growth, and I was also always convinced that I can achieve anything if I set my mind to. And that wasn't only true for myself, but for everyone around me. And since I had a very diverse career with, as you already mentioned, diverse professions, always self-employed, I can see that it's very true for myself, but I can also see that others don't believe that to be true for them. So if I meet people, often they tell me, "Why you write books or you train horses? I could never do that, or I wouldn't dare to do that," and things like that. And that actually made me want to help people to overcome their limitations that they set for themselves in the mind. And that's actually kind of how I found about RTT and went on to become an RTT practitioner and RTC coach.
Okay, right. So we are also speaking on a podcast about how our childhoods and possible trauma in our childhood, or how he was bringing up, how it's affecting our adult. Do you see the connection in when you work in your work about what people created in their beliefs as children to how it's affecting them as adults?
Yes, I can see that very clearly. I think it's like we are defining our brain or our impressions of the world is like building our operating system as children, and depending on what we experience at this time, it is very formative for the rest of our life. And sometimes we are not aware that we had built these impressions or this perception of the world, but it still influences up until today. And if I take myself as an example, it's pretty clear that I found peace with the horses, and I kind of got really tunnel vision where I only wanted to be with them and learn about them, and put that together with being an avid reader. It's not that far away. I work with horses, I write books, and I just had this real inner drive to go a step further. And I'm sure, if I haven't actually looked too deeply, but I'm sure you could also find the reason why anger is such a powerful motivator for me to the best thing you can tell me is you can't do that. And I'm like, well, watch me.
I actually realized that I did read one of your books.
Oh, really?
I didn't know that it's you. Yeah, that came out in Star. I had a period of my time when I really liked the romantic books and overcoming. So how you feel that books kind of helping people in shaping the understanding of life? Do you think that it's good to read the romance book, or what are you trying to say through them?
Yes, I think reading is one of the greatest thing anyone can do, and not only non-fiction but also fiction books, because they teach us empathy. and they teach us to have a bigger outlook, a wider outlook on how life could be. It also gives us a reprieve from our life. And I don't mean reprieve in the sense that our lives are bad, but everybody needs a break sometimes. And if I can achieve that this break for the reader is a time that leaves him hopeful and looking forward and trusting a bit more that they themselves can do it as well. And that's what I kind of transport with the use or by the use of my female protagonists, who usually are at some crossroads in their lives, and they have to overcome some inner struggles or also some outer resistance, and then they find their way. And since all of my books come with a happily ever after guarantee, they do leave the people hopeful. And yes, one could say my books display a bit of utopia, because the community sense is, I'm very big on that in my books.
Yeah.
You also, every book is a standalone, but you will meet people you have already met in the book before. So this is something as well. It gives us the idea that we can reach out for help if it's needed, and that help will be provided. And all those things together leave you relaxed, hopefully, and hopeful, and you also want to come back. That's good for me as a writer, of course.
Yeah, I find it very useful to, for me, it's for form of relaxation, but exactly as you said, that hope, that, that vision, what we would like to have as community or families, or what relationship could be, and because it's given the sense that it's possible, is it, and then we can find it somewhere or reach out for that. So I think that for people who recovering from unhealthy relationships or struggle in the life, that hope is really important. But you really working with people who working on their overcoming limitation beliefs around their dreams. So what is that, what you're doing with people mostly? Like who are those who reach you? Who should call you and say like, oh, Virginia, I would like your help?
Especially professional women who want to use their expertise not for others but in their own business, but might be scared to take that step. Or also, as I also work with entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs mostly, that want to either scale or pivot but are not sure if they're good enough. Because even if we are successful in the eyes of others, it is still can be quite shaky inside ourselves. And that's where I come in to lend you a hand and an ear to actually show you that you are all that you need to be or need to have to go that next step. It's kind of like leading them into the expansion, or just being there as a partner in this expedition. I don't like the leading word too much, because it's not me that does anything. I'm just asking questions that make you, as my client, realize that you are already at the point where you need to be.
Yeah, that's great. So how is it all combined with that horses and working with horses? Do you think that there are any like similarities about like when we working with the horses and working with the people? Like what?
Well, the similarities are actually that you have to, if you work with horses, you have to be very clear and very grounded. You have to regulate your nervous system and have a good awareness of how your nervous system reacts in certain situations. And the same is true for the horses. And what they are doing, because they're so sensitive, they reflect that very well back to us. Also, maybe if you buy a horse, he has also survived some trauma or something like that, then you have to take that into an account until a certain point. Meaning you have to be empathic to while working with him, but you also have to take him as he is now, him, the horse.
Yeah.
So, and I think in my opinion, that's an important thing to remember. Yes, every one of us has certain parts of trauma in our lives, but we are also more than our trauma. We are who we are now. We can, of course, work on the past traumas, but it's important to realize that we are enough like we are, as we are right now. And that's also important when you work with horses, because otherwise I had a teacher once and he was like, are you, what is this word? Are you, kind of resentful or unforgiving, or you're still thinking about that, what he did 2 years ago, because he's not the same now as he was 2 years ago. And that's something I often miss a bit in today's online talk about, I mean, you find trauma talk everywhere. Sometimes it seems to me we are so focused on the past that we forget to focus on the present and the future.
Yeah.
And I would like to bridge that in my work.
That's great, because I personally believe that it's actually goal of recovery of trauma, to live in the present moment, is
Yes.
it? And take the past is past. It did happen. Nobody's saying that it didn't, but now is that important moment we need to live in, reacting from present moment. So that's great that it's you leading people to the recognition of that, who they are now, is that a lot of people not really see themselves.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So when you're working with people, how it look like? Do you have some program, or like how it's going on when somebody wants to work with you?
Usually we meet first. I tend to do more coaching than hypnosis, meaning that we first talk more about the goals and the vision and where we want to go. And usually during that work, we will stumble upon maybe on a block or some inner resistance, where we decide to work on that by integrating the hypnosis.
Okay.
And it's a very fluid process. I have a group program. It's still a very small group, but it's kind of a year-long program with a community that is building, and you will have access to the community for many years to come. But you're done paying after the year, and that's I think the community aspect of that is really great, because you don't have only myself. I mean, of course, I'm cool to talk to, but other opinions are available, and also other experiences. You can also work one-on-one with me. I have a client who is a singer right now and a writer as well. That's really fascinating. And of course, with my writing background, I also help people writing books to scale their business.
Did you find it useful to use the writing as the way of recovery, or like, part of on the journey, like write your story? Would you recommend it for people to do that?
That's a very interesting question, and I think it can be very helpful to do that, especially in the sense of looking through a different lens, or maybe get more distance to what was happening, but also to recognize how many gifts or talents we actually have. Because usually in the things we are good at, we tend to not to notice that much, because for us it's normal. Yeah, of course I can do that. Of course I can write a book, because that's what I do. But it's actually really outstanding. And by writing about it, people tend to realize that it's actually a really big thing and not just normal. I mean, it's normal as well, but you know, it is extraordinary. And so, yes, I do think it can help enormously, even though I have to say, I personally don't use it that way.
Yeah. Well, you know, tips and for what people can do. It's always useful. So what would be thing which you would like I don't know, give the tip to the people, like if they feel that they are in the like crossroad, they feel that they cannot fulfill their dreams, or they not sure that they can, what do you think that would be like things to do, like one tip how to start?
I think one tip how to start is to take some paper and a pen and sit down and set a timer for 5 minutes. And in those 5 minutes, you will write down any idea what you think you could find fun to do or you would like to do. In the case of my work, it's usually somehow work, but it also could be something personal. It doesn't matter. But you have just this small window of 5 minutes to pour it all out on the page. And then you look at it. What this does is it keeps you from second guessing and rating your wants and wishes, because the window of time is so small. And I would really love for people to just pour all that out, because we tend to not allow us even to think about the things we actually really want to do. So don't limit yourself. Just put it out all on the page. And afterwards, when you go through the things, there will be things you will cross out because they're actually not viable. But others, if you think, I shouldn't or I couldn't, take a moment to reflect. Who is it that says you shouldn't or you couldn't? Is it actually true? Or is it you telling yourself that because of the influence of society, parents, former teachers, whatever?
Yeah,
that's what I would love for everyone to do.
Oh, that's great advice, and I would absolutely agree with that. That we need to recognize what is that voice in our head. Is it like what is our voice, and what is somebody else limiting us? And people who went through any form of trauma, they often have these beliefs limiting that, you know, they didn't have it available when they were small. There wasn't that support, but doesn't mean that they cannot do it now, is it? It's just like open your springs, you know, your wings, and start like pouring out who you really are, finding. So that's amazing. And if somebody would want to contact you, somebody would feel like, yeah, I would like to work with Virginia. She seems cool and can help me to restart or navigate in my life. How is the best to contact you?
The best way would be either over Facebook. Virginia Fox is my handle. I think Virginia, Fox, and or email at mail@virginiafox.com, or coaching.virginiafox.com is my website.
Okay, so good. I will put it to the information about episode, so people who would be interested can find it there. And that I think that what you're doing with the people, it's amazing. I think that everybody should read your books because they're also amazing and very relaxing.
Thank you.
And I think I would want to ask you, like, what would be like last kind of message you would want to give people, to message of the hope, as we always saying in our podcast?
The really cool thing about the brain is that if you allow yourself to think new things or think into new directions, you don't have to act on it right away. Just let your mind wander, and it will open up so many possibilities because your mind starts to develop this new direction, and it will open up so many avenues, even if it's just a possibility you wouldn't have regarded before. And give it a try.
Yes. Give it a try. Yeah, that's great message. Give it a try and just open to the new ideas and new options. So thank you very much, Virginia, for coming on our podcast, Way Out of Childhood Trauma, and I wish you great time.
Thank you, Barb. It was so nice of you to have me. Bye.